prepare to put on your tinfoil hats.
Tonight we're going to be talking to Chase about his experience with something whispering to him when he was a kid. We also dive into topics a little bit more casual, such as religion and sleep paralysis. If you have had an experience that you would like to share, you can contact us at challengeunknown@gmail.com. Links will be in the description.
All right, man. Tell your story. What happened?
Alrighty. Well, my name is Chase, and I grew up in a small town called Bishop. It's in California. It's kind of hard to locate. When I was in about 5th grade, I believe I had an encounter with, I would say, a ghost, or yeah, pretty much a ghost, I want to say.
Okay.
Happened about 5th grade. It's really weird. So like how it happened was recess was over, and it was the last recess for the day. And so being me, I was a little shithead. I would drag my feet and not really go to class so quickly like you're supposed to.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. And as I was dragging my feet, I was walking along. The school is actually right next to a cemetery. So, not a shocker, but I want to say that's kind of common. And as I'm walking along, it's getting kind of quiet, like faint, everyone's kind of going in. I'm kind of like, oh, I'm going to kind of hang out and do my thing. And so I start, I don't know what I was doing. I was hanging out in the grass. I was just chilling. And I distinctly remember I was sitting along the fence. It was right next to the graveyard. And on the other side of the fence was a huge tree. Now, you kind of see around it, but you can't see like behind it because that's how kind of huge it was. And so, oh man, it was weird. Like when I was sitting there and it kind of like, it's kind of like everything's kind of settled in. I thought I heard something. It was like, and I was like, okay, what was that? I'm starting to hear stuff. And I'm like, that was weird. So I'm still like, doing whatever, dicking around, whatever. And I start hearing it more vividly, or I start hearing words come out. And it felt like somebody was like trying to talk to me. It's just like, hey. I was like, somebody like there, like somebody messing with me, like, or I thought it was like a teacher or something like messing with me. And I don't know, just I sat, and so that it made me sit there for kind of a long period of time, because while I was sitting there, trying to figure out what the hell it was, it keeps trying to talk to me. It's like, hello, and it kept saying like, hello, hey. It wasn't asking me like questions or anything like that. It just kept trying to, just say hi or get a response from me, I think. And I don't know, it got me to the point where I sat out there after the bell rang. I was out there for a good maybe like 20 minutes.
Oh wow.
Which was bad, because what happened was after, because I was so curious like what the fuck it was. And I'm like, is somebody over there? Is like somebody messing with me? This is like 5th grade. I have no idea. But it just kept happening. They kept saying hello, hey, but it was a whisper. It was a faint like, hey, hello, like, but you can hear it specifically. And I thought it was somebody around on the other side of the tree. And I'm just like, what the fuck? So I want to say this whole thing didn't occur to me. I wouldn't say recently, but it's been in the back of my mind. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I remember like someone kind of talked to me. Like that was kind of weird. And then I never really thought about it or spoke about it. I don't know. It didn't really like change my perspective, like my life or anything. I believe, obviously, I do believe it's, kind of awesome, I think, in my opinion, but it just, I don't know. That was like, I want to say it's like one of my only encounters like I ever had that has been like kind of vivid. Anything else, it's probably just been like I've seen like shadows and this and that, but
right.
That one really speaks to me because that's all the way in 5th grade. I can't remember like very much, but I specifically remember that one from 5th grade.
How old are people in 5th grade usually around these days now? I don't.
So I'm trying to think very hard. So it had to have been
Probably like 10.
10 or 11. I want to say around that age, yeah. And after the fact, of course, the teacher sent one of the students to come get me. It was like,
God.
oh, sorry, I lost my shoe. Or no, I'm sorry, I take that back. I apologize. I was out there so long that the PE teacher and the second class came out because it was the recess before
They
school ended.
forgot about you?
No. They came out there and they're like, Chase, what the fuck are you doing out? Like, what are you doing out here? And I was like, oh, I lost my shoe. Like, I said some shit and I was like pretending to put it on, or I did some dumb shit. And then the fucking another student came out. I was like, Chase, like, teacher wants you here. You're in trouble.
Nice.
You know, I think I had to stay like 10 minutes after or something. It was something stupid, but I was just like, no, yeah, it was. I don't know, because I was sitting against the fence and I was like kind of like not looking. I was looking out. I wasn't trying to look behind the tree yet. But every time I would look out, it would say something. I would try to turn my head, figure out what it was. And so that's when everybody came out, and I was just like, oh shit. And then I kind of like didn't say anything about that because I don't want people to think I was weird and shit. Obviously. But no, I feel like that was an encounter and just kind of stuck with me a little bit. Didn't really mess me up or anything. I don't really have problems or anything like that. It's just always in the back of my mind now.
That's really interesting. I like that because so it sounds like at first it sounded like it was inaudible to you, but it was something that you were hearing, and then as you listened to it more, it became more and more clear what it was actually human
It felt like
voice.
someone was just literally behind the tree, the big tree, just whispering and messing. That's what I'm like, dude, someone like they're like, what is going on? But nobody was there because if you walk to a certain point, you could see on the other side of the tree. So I didn't see anybody. It was just
How far away was the tree, would you say?
oh, dude, like from the fence and the tree,
Yeah.
like an inch gap, maybe.
Okay, so it wasn't far
That's
at
why
all.
it was kind of no, it wasn't far at all. It kind of like that's why it kind of messed with me. That's why I was thinking, okay, someone has to be on the other side of this tree. It's hard to kind of look around it, but if you kind of walk a certain distance, then you can.
Right. How far away were you from the fence then?
Oh no, I was sitting up against the fence.
Okay, so you were really close.
It was, oh yeah, I was sitting up against the fence, and then it's about like 2 to 3 inches away from the tree, and I was just sitting. My back was against the tree and everything. And I was apparently like I was sitting there and I was wanting to listen to more because then I was just sitting there chilling, and I was like, dude, is someone trying to talk to me? Like, what's going on here? And then yeah.
That's interesting. I like that you are curious about it because
Mm.
for me, I like to imagine that if it was daytime, I would be curious about it too. If that was
Yeah, that's
happening
what
in
threw me
pitch
off, too.
black, if it was happening in
Oh,
pitch
no.
black at night,
I'd be gone.
Yeah, I'd have shit myself and
Mhm.
bailed.
No, if that was like any other time, I'd be screaming like a girl. I'd be out. Like no, like But I mean, I am interested in everything too, but also freaked out at the same time.
Was it a man? Was it a lady?
I want to say it was a gentleman. It, because you can kind of hear distinctive like whispers between a man and a woman. I want to say, yeah. Don't want to trigger anybody, but sorry if I did. But you can kind of tell the difference between man and woman when they're whispering.
Right.
This one was kind of like faint and somewhat deep.
Okay, so higher and lower
like I
pitches.
said, it was like hey, and then like it was kind of like that. But that's just basically like it to me. That's what it was. I never really thought. I didn't really think about if it was a woman or not or a man. I just assumed it was. I assumed it's gender. Sorry, but but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'll have moments where like if like me and my friends talk about like ghosts or anything, I'll just always fall back onto that encounter.
That's your one encounter that always stuck with you. That was really out of the ordinary.
It's always in the back of my head, and I never could like really figure out like what the hell or why it happened. And I figured I'm like, dude, maybe it was just the person. Like it was probably somebody from the graveyard, just trying to talk and have a chat. Because that's what screwed me up. Was I'm like, dude, there's a graveyard next to the fucking school. Like I didn't think of like that's just weird.
That is weird.
But,
I mean, whose grade school isn't next to a fucking cemetery? I mean, everybody's is, right?
Well, no. Here's the thing. It goes the school, the cemetery, and then a hospital.
Oh.
So, yeah. I wonder. You never know. So that's why I was just like, wow, that's kind of weird. But
oh my god.
I don't know. Yeah. Now that I think about it, like what? I'm 27 now. I'm gonna be 28 here soon. It just
Never
Like I
went
said, it
away.
hasn't really, never really went away. No, it doesn't really change me or anything like that. But yeah, there's not really one day I go without thinking about it. Doesn't really it doesn't keep me up at night. It doesn't mess with me or anything. It just okay.
But
that
if it
happened.
comes up,
More of a interesting experience that you reflect on.
Exactly.
so let me ask you this: you said mentioned very briefly that you've seen the occasional shadow. You know,
Mhm.
anything really stick out about that kind of stuff?
Honestly,
Or is it just like, maybe I saw something, maybe I didn't. It was quick,
right.
and then I just
It's
move on
kind of
with my
like
day.
quick and stuff. Like I'm trying to really think. It's just like typical. Like when it's like typical stuff. Like when you're sleeping, middle of the night, and you wake up and you look at your chair and it looks like a person. You're like, wait, what? And you flip on your light. You're like, oh, okay.
Right.
That it's
Okay.
just like little things like that. And then or like I don't know when I'll be walking home sometimes middle of the night and like I kind of like get a little paranoid. Not like I hear anything or anything. I'm like, dude, what if I just like did I just see something and I turn around like nothing's there, but it feels like something was there. And
Yeah.
that would happen like not very often, but when it did, it was just like whatever. Like
Yeah.
that was kind
Okay.
of weird.
I get what you're saying.
Hmm.
You ever have any instances of sleep paralysis?
I have not yet, and I hope I
God,
never
it
do because
fucking sucks.
it sounds really terrifying, and oh,
Depends on how you approach it and
I
your
hear
knowledge
people's
on the situation.
stories and stuff, and it just sounds horrific, and I hope it never really happens. But then again, I wouldn't really count as like sleep paralysis in a way. Sometimes when I go to sleep, it can happen like any night. Sometimes I'll be falling asleep, and I'm like, okay, like I don't think about it. Like I'll just fall asleep. Great, but
Right.
it's when my body is like, hey, you're falling asleep. You don't want to fall asleep, but it's slowly going into a sleep. I'll sit there and try to fight it, but then I get to this point where I'm like, I can't move, and I feel like I don't know. Sometimes random noises happen and stuff, and it's just like I have to snap myself out of it and wake up real quick because every time I feel that, whenever that happens, I'm like, this is gonna be a bad dream, or it doesn't feel right going to sleep right now, and it just kind of like gets me to the stage where I can't really move my body, and it just makes me like snap out of it and just, ooh, that was weird, and then like I'll be up for like another hour or two before I finally go to sleep peacefully.
So it's like your body is asleep but your mind is awake. That's
Correct.
what that is. Okay.
That's literally what it is, and it happens more often than I think, and it kind of sucks, but it's not like killer, but I tend to deal with it, and it's not a big like sometimes when we're in the middle of the night, you guys will be on. I'll be like, hey, I'm gonna hop on real quick, and they're like, oh shit, you're about to go to bed, but no, it's because that shit happened. I can't go to sleep. So.
Oh,
Right.
so you're just on
Okay.
for another hour. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I hate sleep
Yeah.
paralysis. It sucks.
Yeah, man. People that had like I don't know what it's like, and it really sucks. And I hope that's just horrible.
I've only experienced it once, and because I was like so into like all the things behind sleep paralysis and lucid dreaming, I knew exactly what was going on and just fell right back asleep. So I don't understand when people are like, it's so scary, or I was scared out of my mind, or I was so frightened,
Mm-hmm.
The thing
Like,
with
go ahead.
I was gonna say the thing with me is when I wake up and I'm in sleep paralysis, I want to get up. And not having the ability to move and trying to force yourself to move will cause a panic and anxiety attack, which is where it becomes such an awful experience for me. Um, and then generally the only option is to either force myself awake fully and by regaining mobility, or is to just accept it and go back to sleep, which is very hard because I'm freaking out, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
So it's
Like,
kind of a double-edged sword,
mm-hmm.
and it's very painful. Like it's very, very stressful trying to get yourself like to move because you're essentially paralyzed. You're sending the signals. You're doing the process of trying to like push yourself up, and nothing's happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's very frustrating. It's very scary.
That's what it feels like sometimes when I try to go to sleep, and I'm like, wait, I don't want to do that, and like for like a good, I want to say solid minute, it feels like I can't move my body or whatever. Then eventually I do somehow. I don't know.
So yeah, Chase, the thing is that that is sleep paralysis that you're experiencing. So all sleep paralysis
I was
is
starting to think that. Yeah.
it's
That
just
makes
the
sense.
temporary inability to move or speak when you're trying to
Wow.
fall asleep or when you're waking up.
This happens at least twice a week, I want to say, to me.
Yep, you have sleep paralysis.
That really sucks.
Yeah, just
I
be
didn't know that
glad.
till now. So
At
Just be
least you
glad
don't
going to sleep
have.
soon. You know.
At least you don't have the night hag or the man
hallucinations.
with a hat.
Oh
Yeah, no,
God.
I haven't had any yet, but now that we discussed it, I feel like it might happen. And if I do, I'll
Manifest
let you.
itself.
Yeah, it might manifest itself, and then if it happens, I'll let you guys know about it. But like I said, that's kind of how it is. Like my whole body just stops, and then like I have another thing about it is, I'm sorry, like going back and forth. Sometimes when it happens, I'll hear like it sounds weird, but it sounds like TV static going off in my head for like a good 5 seconds. And that's where it gets like, that's what Stackhouse was talking about, the anxiety and everything. That's when everything starts to kick in. And then once I like snap out of it, it's just like I'm not in sweats, but I'm like heavy breathing and everything. I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm not going to sleep for a little bit. That kind of freaked me. And then,
Yep, that'll do that.
yeah, ugh, it's
awful. I'm aware.
mhm.
Dana, I want to ask you this because you're a little bit more versed on the whole sleep paralysis and lucid dreaming topic than
I
I
find
am.
it to be fascinating. I love it so much.
Okay, so when it comes to sleep paralysis, hallucinations are not uncommon. However,
No,
isn't it theorized that the Night Hag and the Man with the Hat are something else?
I can't
Or
speak for the man with the hat, but the night hag. Um, I can't give you the exact origins, but it goes along the lines of the word nightmare comes from the night hag because a long time ago, like during the medieval ages, people would talk about this thing that would happen where they had a woman sitting on their chests and they can't move when they were sleeping, or
Right.
she would be putting her feet in their face.
That's so creepy. And that's weird.
So that's where nightmare comes from.
I'm not trying to be a dick, but what about people that have foot fetishes? They have those? Would they like think, oh yeah, or would they still get freaked out?
Oh
That's
my
like
God.
my question.
That's
Alright, Pickles,
I
hilarious.
know it's fucked up. I'm sorry.
let's see, where is it? You see the channel X-Files, the most recent picture? That's what the night hag is.
You see.
Yeah,
Imagine
I
having
don't
those
think
things
you're
feet in your face.
I don't think you're getting off to that.
Can you? Whoa. Yeah, no, that's scary. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
people with feet fetishes would like that.
I mean, I kind of I like to think that it is a manifestation of something, and since it happens with so many people throughout history, and like, you know, it's probably something more than just a dream. It's not a coincidence. It's like not an extraterrestrial, but like a otherworldly being,
Like interdimensional.
interdimensional, I guess, a demon maybe.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's really interesting because when it comes to hallucinations, one of the things that I always say is whenever people try to rub stuff off as a hallucination, when people are hallucinating, they generally don't hallucinate the same things. So whenever someone tries to push off unexplained happenings as, oh, everybody just hallucinates, and it's like, well, how is everybody hallucinating the same thing? How is 1,000 people, how is 100,000 people over time hallucinating the same thing?
Yeah, exactly. So where does it come from? What is the origins?
Right, and
You
it's
know?
like when people talk about the hallucinations when it comes to just sleep paralysis in general, like, yeah, absolutely. We do know that sleep paralysis does cause hallucinations, and the research indicates that because people are seeing all these different things and all these just a bunch of different stuff can happen. Your mind goes nuts. Um, However, along this random pattern of all this random stuff that people will see when they're in sleep paralysis, the night hag seems to be constant among all of it, and even going back historically, which is really interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. Another like some weird ones that I've heard of before are giant spiders like in the top right corners of your room or top, a corner in your room. A giant insect or all of the walls like in your room being covered in a bunch of small insects.
That's interesting.
Obviously the man in your doorway or the man with the hat. Some people have chairs in their room, so they'll see it in the chair. Or another one would be something in your doorway walking towards your bed.
God, it's freaky. I don't like that.
Yeah. There's actually one that I read recently. This man and his wife, I think it was his wife, they were asleep and they woke up and they both saw the same thing, which was like two old ladies standing at the foot of their bed.
That is just so freaky, man. Like
Yeah.
oh God, I can't imagine hallucinating during sleep paralysis. That would just mess me up.
So it's I mean, if these things are seen by many different people throughout history, it's not a hallucination, it's something more, if you ask me.
Very well could be. Only time will tell for sure. And as we research it a little bit more, who knows what will come of it, what we'll figure out. I mean, like a lot of this research that goes into the paranormal stuff is still very, very much out of the box stuff. So as our technology advances, and who knows what we're gonna end up finding out as we get more advanced stuff to play with.
Do you, Chase and Stackhouse, do you guys know what an OBE is?
I've never heard
Out of
that
body
term.
experience.
Okay. Yes, I've heard about that.
Okay.
I know what it is, and I have not had one.
You have not had one. I have yet to have one. So OBE could be anything from astral projection, where like you're asleep and then you wake up and you start floating up and you look down and you see yourself, to people talking about how they have died in the ER room and they've seen themselves laying on the table, stuff like that.
I've heard about that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So like I don't think that this is all just a coincidence or it's a hallucination, because OBEs go along with the the sleep paralysis, things you see when you have sleep paralysis. It's all unknown,
Yeah.
Kind of a little off topic, but that just reminded me. I don't know if you guys have seen this clip. To anybody listening, please go watch this clip if you want a good laugh. There's a Cyanide and Happiness video where there's this like family in a hospital room, and their grandpa or whatever is, he's passing. And,
oh no, I've seen this one.
Yep, and he passes and he says, like right before he goes, he says, "I'll see you on the other side and we'll all be together again." And then he flatlines, and then he comes back for like 5 seconds and he starts screaming and he goes, "There's nothing. There's no afterlife. It's just darkness." And then he flatlines again, and then the nurse like kind of casually walks by and laughs and goes, "They do that all the time."
With the child just like traumatized.
I remember that.
Just like, what the fuck? That's horrible, dude.
It's so awful, but it's so funny. So yeah, if you guys like really dark humor, I would recommend Cyanide and Happiness for anybody out there that hasn't.
We can link it in the description.
Yeah, we'll link that in the description, because that clip is just
no
a
light.
good laugh.
There's nothing.
There's nothing. Oh my god.
There's nothing.
But yeah, man, I think that kind of wraps that topic up. Chase, like, what else? Other topics should we talk about here while we're all sitting here together?
I don't know. What do you think, Dane?
I'm thinking I want to know more about what you think about the paranormal.
Okay, to be honest, when I think about paranormal, I hate when I mean, how do I say this? It sucks when people get possessed and whatnot. It's cool to see an encounter. It's cool to like would have some good experience, but it's also it's just I feel like it's shitty when shit bad happens to people from like having certain encounters from like I don't know from what, but I just think it'd be cool to have encounters with loved ones and stuff. With my father passing recently and stuff. But I don't know, like if for now I'm gonna think, after him passing, I'm gonna be like, oh, if I ever have like an account, like, oh, what if that was my dad? But what if he like knocks over something? I'm like, what a dick, You're like, haha, fucking little shit, I could see him doing that. I think that would be funny. But to be honest, though, I think about the paranormal, I believe it, and it's real as it gets. To be honest, I wasn't really raised Christian. I kind of did it just to kind of like this is gonna. I kind of did it just because my friends were kind of doing it. And I was like, oh yeah, let's go to church. Let's go to youth group. Whatever, it'll be fun. I can.
Can I cut in and tell a mini
Yeah,
story
go ahead.
here?
Go ahead.
This might upset some religious viewers out there.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna tell this story anyway because I think it's important.
Let's hear it.
So when I was in grade school, I think, and there was this girl that I really liked. Okay. And it's not as you know me personally, Chase, and it's not as classic Stackhouse as you may
Okay.
be thinking here. It wasn't like, oh, I
Gotcha.
went to church to try and hook up with this. That's not what happened. But what happened was I was really into this chick, and one day she called me, and I was like super excited, right? And she's like, hey, what are you doing Wednesday night? And I was like, oh shit, like what's happening here? And she was like, well, I go to this youth group at this church, and I was wondering if you wanted to come with me and this other girl, like her best friend and stuff. And it's like, we do play games, and then we talk about God or whatever for a little bit, but like mainly the selling point was games and stuff.
Yeah.
And we come hang out, we have a good time, and I was like, oh yeah, sure, we get to play some games, and I get to like hang out with the chick that I like, like why not. So I went, and I did that for a number of years.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I hate, for lack of a better term, religiously. Like I went every Wednesday. It was never something that well, no, I did subscribe to the religion a little bit for a while. I will admit. As very, for my current views as I am, I will admit that I subscribed to it for a few years, pretty in depth. And for a few months there, I was like really into it. A big part of the draw for me wasn't the spiritual experience; it was the games and the hanging out with people that I liked and stuff. I remember what drew me away from that place. That's why I wanted to get to this. This is why I wanted to tell this story. And so the chick that I liked was still going there, but like obviously nothing ever happened between us. It was like that grade school crush. It wasn't really a big deal or anything, nor did I ever have the balls to ask her out. So it's whatever. But besides the point. So like there like I had made some friends over the years there, right? Like some very close friends, and one of them decided that she was interested in women, which was fine. It wasn't a big deal for me.
Yeah.
I really didn't. I
Yeah.
didn't care one way or another. And that's what she liked. That's what she could. She could do whatever she wants. She's a person. That's what she wanted to do, and she was open about it at the youth group thing, and they were not well receiving to it, and she stopped going. And then not long after that, I stopped going. And to say
Good.
that was the full purpose for me stopping going, no, that wasn't it. It was I had outgrown it. I wasn't subscribing to the religion anymore, but that definitely did put like one of the nails in the coffin for me.
Yeah.
And
No.
I'm not saying that that's a blanket statement for all people in that religion or anything like that. I don't believe that's true at all. I think that
Right.
there's a lot of interpretations of religion nowadays, and people have varying beliefs and within the big labels. People have very large varying ideologies and stuff, but that was the story that I just kind of wanted to throw in there.
Okay.
At random.
Well, to be honest, that's kind of like how it went with me. Like me and my family, we grew up like I guess you'd say I kind of went to kind of like with your situation. I went to youth group and whatnot just because there's a few friends that like, hey man, come hang out. Wednesday night or Thursday night. It's youth group. I'm like, wait, I can go hang out with some friends on a fucking school night.
Right.
All
Yeah.
right, I'm there. That's literally what it was. And like you go to youth group, like what 6 or 7, or like 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and then be down like 7. Then I'm like, oh, and then after the fact would hang out and just do
Right.
whatever.
And like there was always Pete's and stuff when I went too, and so like we always had fun. It was like a little party every Wednesday night.
Yeah, it was great, and I loved it. And what else happened? And so I want to say to me personally, what kind of drew me away, my family, like I don't my, my father, he Christian all his life. We didn't go to church religiously. That he did. He was a Christian, but he wasn't like I'm not gonna piss some people off. He wasn't a Bible thumper. Like he loved science. He was all about space and everything. And
Right.
but his family, they passed down generation to generation. They're all Christian. And so I remember one year my mom tried to get all of us to go to church, and we went to the church that my father's side's been going to for like longest time. And we went. I want to say it took us 3 times. We went every Sunday, and on the last Sunday, as we left, my mom's like, "Yeah, we're not going there anymore." And I'm like, "But why?" Like I was doing like the Sunday school and everything. I was like, "Why?" Like everything's what the hell. Like she's like, I don't know. The pastor, his speech today felt like she felt like she was being targeted by the pastor. And I know it sounds messed up to say, but during his speech, he said something like along the line of, "If you just come here just because, and you're not here for God and this and that, you shouldn't be here." And he looked directly at
Oh,
her,
I see.
and I was just like, "Oh, that's kind of messed up." Like, wow. And so after that, that's when I got older, went to youth group, did whatever, and then I don't know, I don't know what really drove me away, but I think it was more of questioning, and I'm like, dude, like, how the fuck do we know? Like that's just the word. That's what always I come back to. Like, how do we know if what we're doing right now is what we're supposed to do? How do we know? Like, if we go to heaven. If we go bad, we go to hell. Or if there's nothing, we
Right.
don't. We don't know. We kind of rely on this book, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not degrading anybody. I'm not pissing anybody off. We kind of rely on this book, and it gives us hope and everything. That's great. But
Right. Like
it's
if
just
you
like,
want to,
how do
take
we
those values
how
and
do we
stuff.
know though? Right. And it's just like I'll sit here and be a good person and I can sit here and be a good person all my life and everything, you know, somehow go to hell, whatever. But it's just more like we don't know what is a god or what is, whatever.
Right.
And it just kind of like I don't know. That's what kind of like made me stop going because like anything like I would kind of enjoy too, it would just always be something like, oh, that's a sin or this and that. It was just, and it was petty stuff too. And it's like, wait, I can't wear my, what was this, like 2010? I can't wear my tap out shirt at church. Why? You know?
I can't say
And it's,
fuck. That
yeah,
fucking
I
sucks.
was, dude, that's the thing. I was a sailor, but I would never cuss in church. Nobody does.
Right. Yeah.
But, oh man, like, yeah, it's bad.
Right.
I
And
don't know. Like I said, that's my opinion. Like, I'm not trying to degrade anybody in church or anything, but you don't know. None of us know, and we're never gonna know until it happens.
I mean, who knows? You might end up like the guy in the Cyanide and Happiness skit.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh
We
God.
don't fucking
That's
know,
that's
dude.
so fucked up. I shouldn't say shit like
It
that,
is.
but
It's okay. No, I know, but still.
yeah, no, I agree. And like, to each his own. Like I say, like everyone's a person, everyone's their own person. It's America, it's a free country. Believe what you want to believe, be who you want to be, love who you want to love. I really don't give a shit. Like
Mhm.
that's what I believe. If
Right.
you want to practice this, that, the other, I don't care. If it helps you be a better person at the end of the day, more power to
Mhm.
you. So,
Right.
um, and
Mhm.
I just want to clarify, moving forward before we go on to the next part, is that you know they weren't, when I say that they weren't accepting of her, it's not like they like singled her out or attacked her about it, but they definitely like
Mhm.
they definitely gave her that vibe. And I don't think that was fair.
They just disapproved.
They disapproved of it. They didn't exile her or anything. There was none of that, but she did leave because she didn't feel welcome anymore.
Mm.
And and I'm not saying that everybody under that religious label believes that, and I know that not everybody under that religious label believes that. I know a lot of people that follow that religious title and are very accepting of everybody. So I just wanted to make that very clear, moving forward. So where are we at now?
I was kind of thinking about the cycle of life and death, and
Right.
my views on it, mainly because of that that acid trip that I took. I know this isn't Joe Rogan. I know we don't talk about mushrooms and acid and stuff like that. But as you guys were talking about that, I kept reflecting on when I was laying there on the couch and I was closing my eyes and stuff like that, and literally watching the fucking the world form the shape of a heart and collapse in on itself and then regrow and collapse in. It's okay to die. Like, death is okay. It's not something that should be feared, even though it's natural for us to fear it because it's unknown. Like, no one has a definitive answer as to what happens. But it's not something that you should actively try to I don't know how to put it without sounding like an asshole.
I get what you're trying to say, man.
It's not something you should actively like avoid, like, because it happens. It's natural. It doesn't matter if you're the richest man alive or if you're a squirrel being chased down by a hawk. It happens to everyone and everything.
Yeah.
It's something that needs to be accepted.
Yeah.
Saying that also brings on a lot of these super hardcore like religious people. They live their whole entire lives trying to achieve something in death.
Mm-hmm.
So they live their whole entire lives living this way that they think they should live in order to go to heaven, or I don't know what the Muslim term would be, or the Buddhist. The Buddhists believe in reincarnation, which I definitely hope for, but it's sticky. It's sticky. That's the best way I can put it.
It is
a sticky situation.
It's very sticky.
Yeah.
We're sitting at about 35 minutes. I think, are you guys ready to call that there? I think that's a really solid episode.
That's pretty good. I like that. Yeah.
Right on, man.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
I loved having that talk with you, man. Especially like,
honest, I've never really spoke with this to any of my friends or family. Like, you guys are the only people I've ever really spoken about it to.
And
it feels really good to talk about it.
Yeah, man, and never be ashamed of talking about this kind of stuff, man. Like, the reality of it is we really don't know what any of this stuff is. And the one thing that we can say for sure is that people are experiencing something. Whether it is what we think it is or not, who knows right now, but it's important that people have a place to come and talk about it.
Right.
Right on, man. Thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you guys. Thanks for having me again. Appreciate it.